All right, let's talk about that looming rail strike. Good morning. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 970 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk, actually check that. It's 92.7 on the FM dial. If you're in the Springfield area, you can listen to us over the airwaves. But from time to time, I also broadcast over YouTube and Facebook. So you can search out Bishop on Air on those channels. And see us when we go live in studio. Sometimes in studio guests. Other times I share video of some newsmakers that I gather while I'm out on the streets throughout the day. But one of those stories is about the looming rail strike and where we're at in this situation. And of course, it's the daily poll as well at WMAY.com/poll, where you can answer the question whether or not Congress should intervene in that looming rail strike. Now, just some background on this. Of course, you had the President of the United States a few months ago with the prospect of labor and management not coming together on what happens with their pay and their sick time. And President Biden had a plan moving forward to have some terms agreed upon. But the 12 different unions, 8 agreed, 4 did not. So they were divided, meaning that a railroad worker strike could be happening as early as December 9th, I believe. But you got to imagine they'd have to do some things beforehand to actually shut down if they are indeed going to go on strike. And the impacts of that would be rather broad and hitting all kinds of sectors from energy to commuter traffic and so on, everything in between. So there's a lot at stake here, and members of Congress are contemplating, as we heard with ABC News this morning, to bring forward a measure to have the Commerce Clause kick in and have Congress lay over these terms onto the labor agreement between the railroad companies and the rail unions. So interesting to see now that you had a slew of business groups from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce down to the Illinois Manufacturers Association and everybody in between. They put out letters last week urging Congress to intervene. And then earlier this week, you had President Joe Biden in a statement essentially say just that Congress should intervene. The dynamic there, you've got a Democratic president who is union friendly, seeming to not go with the union on this and instead wanting to impose contract terms onto the union. Now, at the State House here in Illinois, which, if you aren't familiar, we have all Class 1 railroads, all 7 of them go through Illinois. We are the central hub. We are the crossroads of the country. And you can imagine that if there is a rail strike, Illinois would be much more impacted than most other areas throughout the country. So how are Illinois lawmakers reacting to this? Yesterday on the House floor, you had State Representative Mike Halpin, a Democrat, and he addressed the President of the United States, not happy with the decision that he made to urge Congress to intervene in those contract disputes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So we heard the news today that President Biden is seeking to intervene in the labor dispute involving railroad workers across the country. Many of those workers who live right here in Illinois. And the administration wants Congress to step in and prevent these workers from exercising their right to strike. Frankly, I'm truly disturbed and frustrated with this news. When corporate profits continue to roll in, we should be supporting the working class in their efforts to improve their lives and the lives of their families. Strikes are unpleasant, they're disruptive, and they cause friction, and that's exactly the point. Strikes demonstrate the economic power of workers' labor by withholding it. They show the company and the general public just how valuable their labor is. And more importantly, just the threat of a strike can help resolve disputes at the bargaining table. But sadly, the President's request undercuts that power. It turns a legitimate lever of power into a bluff that's easily called. What reason would the railroads have to compromise when they know that the workers won't have their most powerful economic tool? Why would they come to the table again when there's no downside risk by holding firm? And we're not talking just about this round of contract negotiations. What happens next time around when the railroads know that Congress is never going to let the railroad workers strike. We just passed a workers' rights amendment here in Illinois. Nearly 60% of the people that voted on that stood up and said, we value workers' rights. Illinois is the literal crossroads for the rail industry in this country. We should not be part of undermining our own workers. And so I'd ask each of you here today, and anyone listening or watching at home, to make sure to contact their member of Congress and contact their senators and ask them to stand up for Illinois workers and allow them to protect that right to strike. Thank you.
So again, that's Mike Halpin on the House floor yesterday talking about President Joe Biden siding with the business community when it comes to having Congress intervene in laying over these contract terms onto the labor agreement as a railroad strike is looming. So let's now get to a question I posed to Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday after Halpin's comments and also after the president announced that he's urging Congress to act on these contract terms. I asked Governor Pritzker about where we're a major hub for all the major railroads. Where do you stand on this issue of having Congress intervene? Here's Governor Pritzker.
Congress should step in, and we need to make sure that we're, one of the reasons that we invested in our transportation infrastructure in Illinois is we are the best positioned to take advantage of all of the shipping and cargo that's going on across the country. Railroads are extraordinarily important, especially right now, because of course we're having trouble with barges on the Mississippi. And so we've got to do something. We cannot have a situation in which the supply chain is cut off because there is a mass railroad strike.
So Pritzker is siding with Biden on this issue, and not with the labor movement that's looking to possibly strike. Interesting dynamics, and what's really going to happen here. We'll watch closely and bring you the latest here with Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk. I'm Greg Bishop. You can always follow along. Bishop on Air, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just you can connect with me there and message me there. You can also email bishoponair@gmail.com, or you can also call in live and local anytime throughout the program, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here with Springfield's Morning.